Hi, my name's Dan Slater and I work for Element 6. Today we're going to go through what a rig pack looks like when you get your Element 6 boat and how to rig it up. My background is coaching Olympic classes. I've been involved in the ILCA class for many years, coaching world champions and different event winners. So I hope you enjoy it and learn something from this. Right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a ratchet block on the boat. That's in the pack with your traveller block, and we will get that out where you need a flathead screwdriver. And in that pack we have one boot, one ratchet block and a small little shackle that attaches it to the saddle by the hiking strap. Okay, first thing we're going to do, we're going to take the boot and we're going to flip this inside out. This makes it easier to put on the boat. We then take the shackle and we take the pin out so we can attach the ratchet block. So, a little tricky, we need to get the pin through these two spectral Dyneema loops. Okay, now before we do that, we put the boot up inside out. Okay, feed the shackle through the Dyneema, and then we can shackle it straight onto the pin here. Do that up nice and tight, and then flip the boot down, and then we have a ratchet block ready to go, just like that. Next we take the traveller. We've got a traveller block left in the same pack we did the ratchet block, and then with our main sheet we have a traveller block in this pack here. Pull the traveller block, the traveller rope out, which is this grey one, the grey Dyneema. Now this Dyneema is pre-spliced, so it's fairly quick and easy thing to do. Okay, so we take the traveller block and our traveller line with the spliced end with the loop. We put that up by the cleat, and the other end, which doesn't have a spliced loop on it, we're going to feed that through this little fair lead, put that through the traveller block. The traveller block goes either way, but it goes through the small block, through the other fair lead, and then with the spliced end loop, we put this end through, and we pull that basically as tight as we can get that. Okay, so try and hitch that up, and then just put an over hitch knot through that. That's all it needs, and that allows us, as we pull that tight, it's like a bow and arrow, and you can pull some tension on it. Put a little bit of a curve in that when you go to feed up through the cleat, otherwise it can be a little bit tricky. And tie a bowline in the end of that. That can be a reasonable size, but you don't want it so low that it comes down and sits in your bung. And then you can pull that tight, and we've got a nice tight traveller. This will stretch in after a couple of times using as the splice beds in. Don't be alarmed, after a couple of sails it'll be perfect. Well, next we go into the Vang, and we need to make the Vang up. The Vang comes in two packs. You've got to find this one here, which is labelled ILCA Vang rope pack, that has a splice line in Dyneema, and it also has a covered line which has a Technora base for less wear and an SK99 core for minimum stretch. We then have this pack, which is our Vang pack. Okay, inside your Vang pack you have three blocks and a Vang key. You have your top block, which the Vang key will be attached to, your purchase block, and then the main ILCA Vang block, and that again is labelled with Vang pack type 1. So we'll get this out, we'll open both the packs, and the first thing we do is the top block. We will require another flathead screwdriver, and we will take the Vang key and we're going to put that onto the top of this run stand block here. So as we undo this one, and the Vang key it's good that I've got shaky hands to do this, very nervous doing this. Vang key attaches, and so now that will hook into the top of the boom as we put the Vang together. Now open this pack, we can get rid of that. This is the main Vang block. Now this comes in a few different versions. So you may not have this style one, you may have a black one, just they both do the same thing and the blocks are basically in the same place. So we open the rope pack and we get our 2 bits of rope out. And inside here is this one here. And we'll start with the spliced piece. So we get our top block and our middle block, and we put the loop through here, okay, and then we just lock it over on top of itself like that, the splice loop. Okay, so we take our other end of Dyneema and we set our blocks, our 2 Vang blocks apart. Now with the Vang key, if we set them up as they sit on the mast, so imagine this being the mast down here and the boom going that way, the Vang key needs to sit that way. Okay, we can always change it on the shackle afterwards to flip it over, but if we set the Vang up, it's nice to set it up as it's going to be sailed. So through the top, going to the bottom with the rope, and then this one goes up through the top outside on this little sheave on the outside, and then it needs to go through this eye on the Vang. Okay, I use a wire splice, pull through, and then just put the rope through the inside of that, and we can pull it through. We then just tie a bowline on the end of that. Okay, that just needs a bowline on it. The rabbit goes through the hole, round the tree, and back down through the tree, and we have a bowline. Some people like to splice it. That's for another day. Okay, and you can trim the tails up obviously as we go. We then need to take this orange line. Okay, the orange line, we're going to start with the dead end on the small double block here. Okay, we take the little bowline on this, okay, now this orange line's about 5 meters long, so there's plenty of length in it. Okay, nice if you set the Vang up again as it's going to be sailed on the boat. Just makes it easier to not get so many twists in it because there's a fair bit of rope. Okay, next one down through the block, and this one we go through the top. We go through the top here. Sorry. So we're pulling that through there. And then we go through the same sheave that you tied to on this next one, and we're going down. So on the same height, there's 2 there. Okay, and again through the same way, up through the bottom block. Oops. Get all the twists out of it. And then this is going to go, that sits like that. How have I stuffed this up? No, I haven't. Yes, I have. Have I? Yes, I have. I've gone the wrong way. Hi. Right, for the next stage of the Vang setup, we've put the bottom section in and the boom. We're going to attach the bottom block to the tang, and that hopefully will make life a little bit easier for us to rig the boat. So the pin goes through as such, and okay, no twists in that. Up in the Vang tang, and the block sit like so. We're going to take the block. We're going to tie a bowline on the top of this block. Okay, small bowline so you get lots of travel. Little tail on it. Now, we will take this through the top. When you find the tail of this, it's quite long, 5 meters, through the top of here. And just pull it taut once you've got it, just so you know that you've got no twists. Then take it through again, going down through block, so it looks something like that. And we take it through the last one. Pull the tail through that. Now this is the little tricky bit. It's got to go through the inside of the rope, and there's a sheave down underneath here that it needs to go round. I'm going to suggest we take the Vang off to get this one through, but now that you've got the Vang set up, there is no need to keep it on the mast. So we'll just unpin that. We've got it fed through, and then it goes back up through this little fair lead here, and then through the fair lead on the cleat. Okay, I'm going to pull the tail through on that, and then if you want to slide the pin in just to see how it all back in on the mast, you can see how it is as a complete unit. Okay, so now we have a complete Vang finished. Right, now when the sail is up, you then tie your bowline on the end. So let's just say there's going to be a bowline here for the sake of what we're doing. Okay, tie a relatively large handle. Okay, give it sort of 100 mils or so. And then when the sail's up, when the Vang is loose, you want to have this loop. When the Vang is loose, so as the boom is up, that halt wants to be against there. Okay, the tail of this we then tie to the centreboard so it doesn't drag to leeward. That's why it's got a long tail. So now we've got in our main sheet pack, where there's the shock cord and the traveller came out of, there's a thin piece of black line like that. Okay, we need to cut this black line in half. One's going to tie a block for the Outhaul and the other one's going to tie the Cunningham up. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this in half. A knife and light is fine for this. Now in this block pack named Cunningham hardware, there is 3 30mm blocks and 1 20mm block and a little shackle. Right, so now we're going to attach a block and use the little shackle, and we're going to attach this as the feeder block down on the deck. Okay, this goes on the port side of the boat. Okay, so we can have the sail pulling to leeward when we pull lots of Cunningham on a windy day. Okay, so we'll put this loop through there, and that will also go on the, not that easy, trying to, so that's on the port side. Okay, we're then going to take the small 20mm block and the 30mm block, and we're going to lash them together. Okay, we take our little black cord, we're going to put it through the end of the 20mm block, and then it's going to go through the eye here. Okay, so we're feeding through the eye, and then we want it to come back up from the side of the block through the top. Okay, so now the block should look something a little bit like that. Okay, with 2 tails. Okay, we then take our 30mm block, and that's going to sit like that, and we feed the line through there, and then we do another lap of this little block here, so it's going back through just like we did before, through the eye, and we hold it there like that. Now with the other piece, the other tail, we're now going to put it back up through the eye of the big block. So we're now looking like something like this, and we're going to feed it in through the little block at this point here. So both tails are now sitting on the little block like so. We'll then just tie a simple reef knot and double it over. Now some people like to put a reef knot and actually put a little bit of super glue on it so it can't come undone. And that way you can cut your tails as tight as you like. Okay, then from there you cut the tails off the end of your Cunningham block. Okay, now we take our Cunningham pack, okay, that's got a grey line and it's got some Dyneema strops in them. These are all pre-spliced strops and it's got a high wear case on the covered line, the grey line. Okay, this long piece of Dyneema, that's going to be our coarse tune. That will be, there's 2 loops on each end. Okay, take one end through the Cunningham eye, okay, and then just back onto itself we're going to attach, that's the top of our Cunningham. Okay, so now we can put that one down. Then there's 2 other strops. One is slightly longer than the other. Then we grab our 2 strops, the longer of the 2, and our block here. With the strop, it has a small loop and a large loop. Feed the large loop through the inside so we end up with a circle like that and the large loop hanging out. Okay, pull it through a little bit further and we're going to attach the block to it. Okay, once the block's attached, we keep, so that's looped over, and we keep this loop. This loop goes round the bottom of your bottom section. Okay, so this will go around the bottom of the mast here. So you'll need to lift the mast out to attach that. Right, so we have our Cunningham block now on the lower side here. We also have this one here. Now we have to connect them. So we take our grey line. Grey line is easily undone. We'll just get the twists out of it. Right, we attach the grey line to this bottom block here through the eye. Okay, again, small bowline, very easy to do. Keep it small to give you the most travel. The reason for having this loop here, rather than attach like some of the have been done in the past up the top here, is it allows you to get more travel in your Cunningham. Okay, so we then take our double block and we're going to go through the small block first. Okay, pulling through the small block, pull all the tail out. Again through the big block, down at the mast, pulling, and up to the top block again. Okay, this here now would sit over the mast, go through the sail here, and then we pin it down on the top of our Vang through this top pin here in the Vang block. So that will go down into here. We pull that pin out and then that pin will go through there. Okay, the tail of the Cunningham, which is now set up over through the eyelet of the sail, okay, will now go through the block on the deck, okay, and then run back through your cleat on the deck to cleat it off. Okay, so that should give us a double purchase in the Cunningham, and it works like that. So when you de-rig, all you need to do is pull this pin out, pull this through the sail loop, and it stays on. Okay, it can either stay on the boat with the loop dropping off, or you can leave it on your bottom section and untie this end here at the cleat. Quite simple. Back on, put the pin through, and voila. Right, now we get on to the Outhaul. The Outhaul has 2 packs. Outhaul hardware pack and the Outhaul rope pack. The Outhaul rope pack has the orange case line and also a length of spliced Dyneema. Okay, in your hardware pack there's a shackled 20mm block for the end of the sail, a twist shackle, a small little shackle, and 4 30mm Ronstand blocks that we're going to use for the purchase system within the Outhaul. Okay, so we'll start off with the blocks and shackles, And we will start off by attaching one of these twist shackles onto a 30mm block. Now this is going to attach the boom. Take a Ronstand shackle key or a shackle key or pliers or whatever you've got. Now this block just goes through, sits this way, not that it, sits like so, okay? We are going to attach that up through just one eye, through here, okay? Okay, so that block just dangles off the bottom, and that stays there forever and a day. We then take from the pack of blocks again, we have a small shackle like so, and another 30mm block. That's going to be attached just like your Cunningham block here onto this other loop. So next thing we do from the hardware tack, we take another block and we take that other half of that thin line we had before that we cut in half. We're going to take that down to the cleat which is on the boom, and we're going to lash through here, we're going to lash this block onto the cleat. So that needs 2 or 3 laps depending on what tickles you. And just like so, it is attached with a couple of reef knots, and again you can either tape this or put a little bit of super glue on there that might just stop the knots coming undone. You can cut these tails. We now need to start feeding our rope through. So we take the rope pack out and we start at the end, okay? And we need these 2 blocks out of our hardware pack. This one's going to attach to the sail, and this one's going to be the other end of the purchase. We're going to take the Dyneema rope, okay? One's got a big eye on it and one's just got a normal end. With the normal end, we're going to take it through the block here. We're just going to tie a small bowline on the end. Okay, then we're going to take the orange line, we undo that. Drop the twists out of it. We're going to take it through this block here, through the eye, and again a small bowline will go round that block to connect that. So now we have effectively one long piece of rope. Okay, we're going to take that up to the boom. Okay, for the ease of this, just put this through here and loop it over the end of the boom. Okay, just makes the block sit up while we're setting up easy. With the tail of this one, it's going to go through the eye here. Remember, you're going to come out on the starboard side of the boat. Okay, so we pull the tail through, and we're going to end up with a little 3-to-1 purchase around the cleat here like so. So here's our purchase that we've got there. This will then run down the boom. Okay, the tail will continue to be there, down here, down through the block on the deck that we've placed, and back to the cleat. Okay, so it should run along looking something like that. And again, you can tie a bowline at the end of this. Now we're at the other end of the Outhaul. We need to take the pack that's got some black shock cord and your main sheet in it. The thicker of the 2 shock cords is the one we want to take out. Okay, we're going to take that up to the cleat that we tied this block to, and we're going to feed it up through the end of it. And while we start, we're just going to cleat that off there now, like that. Okay, we're going to take the shock cord, the other end, and we're going to do a lap around the boom, back up, so we're inside our Outhaul line that's sitting there. Okay. We then take the block which had the shackle that was in our other hardware pack, and we're going to feed the shock cord through that block. Okay, this will end up attaching to the sail, and this will be your purchase system that this line here will go on. The shock cord will go through there. We take it the other way round the boom, okay? So that goes the other way around the boom, and then it's going to slide back up inside the Vang here, inside this cleat, which will look hopefully something, sorry, if you put it on top here, it can slide up, back up, and then you basically pull that taut. So we're just going to hold that there for now. Then with the loop that we've looped in here, this is gone. We need to make sure that this is all on the starboard side. We feed the loop through the fair lead, okay? It goes through here, and then we're going to take it under here, through the fair lead, and then it just loops over the end of the, got my finger stuck in it, over the end of the boom as it pulls taut. Okay, so that locks it off, and that can stay there almost permanently. Then with our shock cord, we've set up, we basically tie it up. Okay, so with the tail of the shock cord, we then just pull it taut, tie just an over loop with both the ends of the shock cord on it, pull that taut, and then we're going to trim the ends off the end here, okay, and that will stay on the boom like so. Now all that happens here is this end goes onto your sail, and we take our clue strap, which is in a pack with some telltales, take the clue strap in, and we strap the clue strap. You open up. Now the clue strap goes round the sail, under everything, so under everything, through the sail, and it's going to loop back on itself like so, and then that one goes over as a safety over the top, okay, and they are all connected through the clue of the sail, okay. That is a Element 6 ILCA Outhaul system. There you go. Right, now we're on to the rudder and the part that we have to steer the boat with and make the thing go through the water. So the rudder, going to come in its recyclable bag, okay, nice black trailing edge E6 rudder, okay. From here we need to put in your blue bit of cord, which is going to go into the rudder here. So you've got this notch here, hole, we feed the rudder, the blue rope through here, and we just tie a figure of 8 in that, push that up, then pull that through, and that will now sit inside there, so when it sits in the stock, we'll go through. Now we put it goes in the rudder stock. Here's your rudder stock, or your rudder head as some people call it. Slide that over, just make sure all the rope's down in there, it doesn't jam in. There we go. And before we put the bolt through, it's nice and easy if you just take your blue cord, take the tail of the blue cord here, that goes up through the inside above that pintle, and then there's another rivet that goes through the stock in the top there. We go on the back side of that, pull the rope through so it works, it's sort of a bit like a block. Now just hold the slack in there. Then we're going to take our rudder bolt. It's got a hex head on one side, 2 washers, and the nylock nut. Take that off. Leave 1 washer on one side. Now we've got to line up the rudder with the rudder stock, so we can push that through. And then on the other side, we have put the washer down, the nylock nut with the plastic at the top, and screws on like so. Take a spanner and an Allen key, okay? Can't tell you what size Allen key that is, but the easiest way to fix this is to put it on the boat, slide it onto the gudgeons, Okay, spanner on one nut and just turn it so it's taut. And easy as that. It wants to be firm so it can hold itself up when you come into the beach. Some of the top guys, they do this up so tight that the rudder becomes a fixed rudder, and they lock it in. Totally personal preference. Then we take the Element 6 Black Dog tiller. Now these are fantastic, best tillers in the world without a shadow of a doubt. Under the Traveller, that then goes into the stock and goes in like so. With this blue line then, you can tie a little purchase line in here, little loop, take it through the cleat, through your little purchase, just to get nice, keep it nice and tight so the rudder won't kick up while you're sailing. Pull that through, pull that tight. Now this also holds the tiller in, so you don't need to use the pin that's supplied in the rudder, in the carbon tiller, but if you're using another tiller brand, maybe you might do. But the way we do this, it's nice and tight, the tiller cannot come out, and it stays. With the tail of this, some guys just wrap it around the tiller and just take the tail up. Tiller extension, like to tape the tiller extension so the cap doesn't come off. Okay, again, the E6 tiller extension, really easy to use, nice and light, full carbon setup. Right, so what's left in our packs? We've got a main sheet. We can thread that up. We have a thin piece of shock cord. Now the thin piece of the shock cord's to hold our centerboard down, and then we've got a thin piece of dyneema, and the dyneema is our mast retainer. Now this is a class rule to stop the mast falling out when we capsize. Let's not capsize. Tie it to the eye here, and then this, when you go sailing with the tail, you just tie it round the mast and back onto itself, okay, over the top of the tang, and that way the mast cannot fall out when you go sailing. Okay, that's all it has to be. The shock cord for the centerboard, very easy, comes with a hook and a little bobble. Okay, the shock cord, put it through the two loops here. Okay, take it back, little bowline. Make that as tight and as small as possible. Okay, and then that's going to sit between the two blocks. Okay, on this end we take our hook, and our hook's going to be on the end. Now when you're setting this up, the best way, you don't need your centerboard to set this up, you just put it through, line the hook up where it would sit with the front of the center case here, then just pull a little bit of tension, we pull it through, tie a knot here, figure of 8 knot to that mark we've put our finger on, slide this out, it's going to sit roughly there on the centerboard. Maybe this one could be a little bit tighter. We'll just move the knot and then we'll cut the tail so it's all nice and tidy on the end. We can shorten this up, just slide the knot down a little bit. That will just give us a little bit of purchase. We then cut the tail there. Here's our shock cord hook to hook on the centerboard. Okay, and this last piece of shock cord, some of the guys like to use it. It goes through the Traveller, underneath your Traveller cleat like this, and you use it to hold your hiking strap up on the back end here with just a reef knot. Okay, pull it fairly tight. And that holds your hiking strap up. You can pull the knot. The nice way to keep it tidy is just put the knot inside the hiking strap and it keeps it nice, looking nice and tidy. So there you go, there's a completely rigged ILCA 6, 7 and 4 from Element 6. We hope you enjoy our boats, we hope you enjoy our package, and we hope you enjoy sailing them and stay in the class for a very long time.